Part of the theater of modern campaigning in Canada is how politicians court different ethnic communities. I have to tell you, as a Jew, I get a kick out of watching politicians put on yarmulkes, those little Jewish head coverings, and do things like lighting a Hanukkah menorah. I love hearing Jason Kenney say a few words in Yiddish. It's a hoot. I mean, so many different ethnic groups have different headgear. Here's Thomas Mulcair looking stylish at a Sikh event. And here's Gilles Duceppe going for the hairnet vote. Just kidding about that last one, but my point is there's nothing wrong with politicians campaigning in a bit of costume. It's theater, so why not occasionally dress up? It's actually more than just style. It's a symbol to new Canadians that they can be completely Canadian too, that to embrace our Canadian values of freedom and the rule of law and democracy means they may have to give up some political ideas from back home if they came from illiberal dictatorships, but there are many ethnic traditions that they can maintain while still becoming great Canadians. So there's nothing wrong on the face of it of Justin Trudeau getting fully gussied up in an Arab-style Muslim attire called the jalabia to court Muslim votes. In fact, it makes perfect sense. In the past 10 years, the Liberal Party has lost the Jewish vote to Stephen Harper and the Conservatives, and it's not very likely that Trudeau will be able to win them back, especially in the 2 years before the next election. It's politically smart for Trudeau to wedge against Harper and Israel and the Jews by going to scoop up the anti-Israel vote in Canada. There are now about a million Muslims in Canada compared to just 350,000 Jews. Now, not all of those Muslims are citizens yet, and not all would vote Liberal, but Trudeau and his brain trust have done the math. That's where they're going to go vote fishing. So it makes sense that Trudeau chose as a senior advisor a Saudi-born Arab-Canadian activist named Omar Al-Jabra. Al-Jabra used to be the president of the anti-Israel group called the Canadian Arab Federation. He was a one-term MP from Mississauga too. But now he's part of Trudeau's brain trust. Here, you can see Al-Jabra as part of Trudeau's inner circle during his leadership campaign in these photos. He's not just a general organizer, though. He's the liaison with the Muslim community in Canada. He's a policy architect for the campaign's Muslim outreach. He helps to shape the speeches, the images. So on Mother's Day, when Trudeau's wife and Trudeau's mom issued an official photograph of them wearing the Muslim headscarf called the hijab, it may have come across as shocking or out of the blue to most Canadians, but it was absolutely in keeping with Trudeau's ethnic positioning. If you doubt me, take a peek at this video of Trudeau talking at a mosque during his leadership campaign.
I spend a lot of time running from the Bangladeshi to the Pakistani to the Maghrebien to the Sunna Wahhabi mosques. I cover all the different communities, but for me it's an opportunity as well as to deepen my understanding and knowledge of Islam.
Now, if you weren't paying close attention, you'd hear the kind of theatrical, ethnic politicking, sucking up that all politicians do, basically name-dropping. Trudeau uses his background as a dramatic actor to try to pronounce some Arabic words with great gusto, which surely was appreciated. And if you don't know what words he was saying, it's just like Jason Kenney uttering some Yiddish phrases to order a smoked meat sandwich. But Trudeau wasn't talking about ethnic food. He was listing the different kind of mosques he loves to go to, he loves to learn from. He mentioned Sunni mosques. That's a major branch of Islam, the kind that dominates places like Egypt. He mentioned Maghrebi mosques, which just means African mosques, places from Morocco and Algeria. Okay, no problem. But did you hear him say the word Wahhabi in there? Wahhabi isn't a major religious denomination like Sunni or Shiite are within Islam. It's not a geographical place like the Maghreb, northern Africa. It's a narrow, fundamentalist Muslim movement cooked up in fairly recent history, named after a Muslim fundamentalist named Muhammad al-Wahhab. It was a fringe belief until its adherents made a formal pact with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, which agreed to promote it and fund it as the official state brand of Islam for the theocratic regime of Saudi Arabia. And so, in fact, Saudi Arabia has pumped literally tens of billions of dollars into mosques around the world on the condition that they promote Wahhabi-style extremism, including mosques right here in Canada. The Saudi government actually boasts on its websites of funding mosques here in Canada. Can you believe that? Now, according to estimates published in the UK Independent newspaper, Saudi Arabia spends $2 to $3 billion every year across 1,500 mosques and hundreds of Muslim centers around the world, pumping out the ideology that fed nutbars like Osama bin Laden and Al-Qaeda. That crazy anti-Western preacher from London, you know who I'm talking about, Captain Hook, Abu Hamza is his name. He's Wahhabi. My point is, Trudeau was boasting of hanging out with these guys, of learning from them about true Islam. Now, I think it's quite likely that Trudeau is completely clueless about this. But I think it's impossible that his senior advisor, the Saudi-born Muslim named Omar al-Jabra, is clueless about it. It's impossible that he doesn't know what he's doing. And then last week, Trudeau visited a mosque in Surrey, BC. Now, lots of politicians go to that mosque. It's vote hunting. It's legit. I mean, here's Thomas Mulcair visiting the same mosque in Surrey. But notice the difference between Mulcair wearing a Canadian-style suit and Trudeau dressed in religious garb. What's that about? Well, Trudeau didn't just go to the mosque to shake hands, to sample the hummus and pita and pay his respects. Here's what's weird. Trudeau went there to participate in a very particular religious ritual called the Maghrib Salah. It's not just a fun meal or a meet and greet. It's a daily Muslim prayer service with a particular meaning. Part of the prayer is called the shahada, which in Arabic means to witness, to testify. To say the shahada prayer is to testify to the oneness of God and accept Muhammad as his sole prophet. Now, the oneness of God is a specific refutation of the Catholic idea of the Holy Trinity, the religion into which Trudeau was born. And of course, to Christians like Trudeau, Muhammad is not a prophet and Allah is not God. See, the thing about saying the Shahada in the presence of 2 or more Muslim men is that's how you convert to Islam. If you publicly testify to Allah as the one true God and Muhammad as his one true prophet, that's all it takes. You're a Muslim convert. You are a Muslim now. And if you make a big deal out of it, if you dress the part, put on the jalabiyah, sit in the prayer, have your hands in prayer, you might even forgive people for thinking that you mean what you're saying. Now, I don't know if Trudeau actually uttered the words of his conversion. I recall the bizarre manufactured media scandal a few years ago about whether or not Stephen Harper took the communion wafer at a funeral once. Remember that? That was a weird story, and the newspaper publisher who ran with it was later suspended for his ethical misconduct. But this is a real question. Did Justin Trudeau utter the words that in Islam signify his conversion to their religion? If not, why did he dress up in costume and participate in that very prayer? Now, Thomas Mulcair hunts for votes at that same mosque too, but he didn't say that prayer. He didn't dress up that way. Or was this just an act done by an actor, reading the lines, a prepared script written by a true believer, Omar al-Jabra, who likely doesn't much care what Trudeau truly believes or thinks, but is delighted about what the people of the mosque will think Trudeau believes? I actually don't think Trudeau means a word of it. I think he's just being a dramatic actor, just like his wife and his mom were when they posed for their Muslim photo. I mean, just last week, Trudeau's social media manager, Ashley Martin, tweeted that religious people are less intelligent than atheists. She has mocked the Pope before, too. She hasn't been disciplined by Trudeau's campaign. Of course not. She's targeting another demographic group. No Muslims from that mosque in Surrey are following some ditzy 20-something-year-old girl on Twitter insulting religious people. Now, how can Justin Trudeau sit in a gender-segregated Muslim mosque in Surrey wearing the jalabiyah and join them in evening prayers, including the shahada, and then seamlessly join gay pride parades, like this one with Ontario Premier Kathleen Wynne and accused child pornographer Ben Levant? How can he say he learns from Wahhabi mosques on one day, but then have a campaign staffer deride anyone religious as a fool the next? And how can he do either of those things and claim he's a good Catholic? I think it's easy. He doesn't care what lines he's fed. Do you really think he's thought up any of his own policies on his campaign at all? Do you really think he's written any of his own speeches? Justin Trudeau is an empty vessel, like many actors. Now, I've made that argument before. His campaign manager, Gerald Butts, was the former president of the World Wildlife Fund Canada, which took foreign money to lobby against the oil sands. No wonder Trudeau is against the Northern Gateway oil sands pipeline. He's Gerald Butts' puppet on that one. And if Trudeau is confused about religion, well, his senior advisor, Omar al-Jabra, is not. He'll send Trudeau to Wahhabi mosques, have the Trudeau women pose in hijabs, and perhaps even have Trudeau take the pledge of conversion. I don't think Trudeau means any of it, which is just as terrifying as if he meant all of it. Hey, if any other party leader was so theologically and philosophically schizophrenic, he'd be torn apart as a hypocrite, a flip-flopper, an untrustworthy say-anything type. Hey, remember how they treated Christians like Preston Manning and Stockwell Day? Huh. Or imagine if Harper tried to have it always like Trudeau is. Or even if Thomas Mulcair did. But look, the media party love their Justin Trudeau, don't they? They'd forgive him his inconsistencies. They'd forgive him if he did actually become a Muslim fundamentalist, if they cared enough to report on it at all, which they don't. Hey, that's why we're here, to tell you the things the media party is embargoing, to report the stories the other guys are boycotting, as a favor to their dear friend, peace be upon him. Because at the end of the day, this isn't actually about the media. It's not even about Trudeau or his advisors. It's about Canada. How would you feel if such a man were to become our Prime Minister?